the force a little more. Thank you very much.
Of the relationship.
Respectfully, I didn't ask whether you get a lot of information.
For weeks, and we live. I didn't believe him. I looked out of that room and I believed the best thing that happened. And I wish I could sit here and say I stood up and I walked down that house. So we were secretly dating, and then, you know, it was beautiful.
Switching sides.
You know, I think my dad would have married him himself. Not my mom, jewelry, brought her out to come and see me on this carpet, looking at the dirty carpet, wondering how I wound up on this carpet and why I never noticed that the carpet was so filthy before, and I just didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to react. I just says,
Your Honor, I'm going to move the admission of 1783.
I felt like he recognized me and I recognized him, and there was just something there that was the love of my life. And he was, but he was also this other thing. You know, he'd pass out in his own vomit. He'd lose control of his body, he'd lose control, and everyone would clean up after him. I cleaned up after him. I mean, this man lost control of his bowels, and I cleaned up after him. His security cleaned up after him, changed his pants in front of me. He would pass out in his own sick.
They're laughing. They're laughing.
You know, and then he'd walk around. This thing that made me feel so loved, that made me feel like my soulmate, as cheesy as that sounds. I just felt like he knew me.
One of the questions is, my partner used force to make me have oral or anal sex.
Correct.
Oh,
She
we're
went with
getting
zero
into
on
it.
that, right? You have any recollection that she didn't go with zero on that?
I have a recollection at that point in time, she was framing those type of acts as angry sex. She
And you
wasn't
helped
framing
them-
them as physical force, as most women don't on these measures.
And you helped her to reframe it as something other than angry sex, didn't you, doctor?
My job was not to do treatment. My job was to do an evaluation.
And then what happened is the next box, and you've not written a single thing in the box, right?
Because I've already spent 20 some odd hours with Ms. Heard, I know what goes in that box.
Gold standard test that asks what
Oh my
happened.
God.
And it says, how old were you? How were you involved? Who else was involved? Was anyone seriously injured or killed? Was anyone in life danger? And none of that information you provide in your analysis on the CAPS 5.
Your Honor, I hesitate to object, but that's very compact.
It is.
Okay, I'll sustain the objection if you want to rephrase.
We can do it
Okay.
the slow way. The first question is, how old were you?
All of the information that would go.
And Mr. Depp was trying to urinate in the foyer, wasn't he?
No.
Mr. Depp had his penis out of his
Objection.
pants, didn't he?
I think I would remember
Relevance.
seeing Mr. Depp's penis.
I'll allow it. Next question.
And you were trying to get Mr.
Trying to respect the court's time and the jury's time. That was not my question. My question was
I
simply,
understand. When you
would
take 5
agree,
minutes to look for a
you would agree,
document.
you would agree that, let's pull up Exhibit 500, please.
500?
500, Defense Exhibit 500.
Defense Exhibit 500.
Yes, I'd like to see who I lied to.
Sometimes drink whiskey in the mornings too, right?
Isn't happy hour anytime?
You can't say that you carried cocaine in that box?
No, but it looks like it would fit some cocaine. I once gave Marilyn Manson a pill so that he would stop talking so much.
Did I read that right?
You did.
Did I read that correctly?
You did.
Okay. Did I read that right?
Yes, you did.
Did I read that right?
You continue to read them right, yes.
And right after you cut your finger off, that you, or right after, I won't give you anything to argue with me yet. Right after you sustained an injury to your finger,
Sorry.
right after you sustained an injury to your finger,
Bless you.
you poured yourself a mega pint of red wine, correct?
A mega pint.
Yeah. We're going to fast forward in time a little bit, Mr. Depp.
Yes, I can feel it.
I have other uses for your throat which do not include injury. I have other uses for your throat which do not include injury.
Sorry, could you read that again?
Part of that would be that they would, that what they, I guess they intend to get from Ms. Heard is that she either wrote it or republished it.
Yeah, what happened the next day is Ms. Heard posted it on her Instagram account and said, look what I published yesterday in the Washington Post. So she adopted the title, and her name was on the article which contained the title.
And Mr. Ronborn, the only reason I'm sorry to interrupt you, only because I know that was a stipulation, so it's hard for me to say that that's all the evidence for motion to strike if there's a stipulation that they're still going to get more evidence in on that particular issue.
I think, and I'm happy to hand the court the transcript of the April 8th hearing, because one of the things that we're not arguing today is that because they haven't put in evidence of I think it was a tweet, but Mr. Chu says it was Instagram, I don't know, whatever it was, that because there was...
It was a tweet adopting the op-ed she published the day before in the Washington Post.
Okay.
All right, so justified to sending that tweet.
But you're saying for the motion to strike, the only evidence before the court is that the Washington Post wrote that title.
Correct, and that's very different from what happened the next day. The stipulation didn't go toward who wrote the title. That was never part of anything, and it's undisputed, and Ms. Heard will testify that she didn't write the title. There was no stipulation. It was just an agreement that we're not going to base a motion to strike on them not introducing evidence of the tweet. That was what it was. I'm happy to hand the transcript up if Your Honor would like to see that. But that isn't actionable because under the Lakova versus Halper case, 995 F3rd 134, retweeting a link doesn't constitute republication. Now, that case dealt with
it does if you add something to it, but I just don't know the evidence.
Your Honor, very quickly, it's a judicial admission. They admitted in Ms. Heard's answer, she admitted to the tweet. So that establishes that she adopted the op-ed in its entirety, and it was discussed. We talked about judicial admissions. One was the op-ed itself. The second, and this is reflected in the
transcript. Your Honor, if I could finish my argument, I mean, I would appreciate it.
I can't wait to oppose this.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Go ahead, so, sir. And again, we can